What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So, took a little bit of a hiatus, but I am back. I had to, take a little bit of me time, get myself prioritized, get my outside life, my family life prioritized. But I'm back, and while I've been gone, there's been a lot of really cool things happening in the music software game. But there's one VST in particular that was sent to me in my email. This was about 3 weeks back, kind of like when I took a little bit of a break. Now, this VST comes from Mr. Wilson, and the name of this VST is Painkillers. It's a VST instrument that I checked out. It was sent to me, and I actually chose not to review it. Now, anybody who's been following my channel, you know that I don't like to really do bad reviews. I don't like to bash companies. If I check a product out and I like it, I'll bring it to the channel. If it's something that I think you guys might find useful, I'll bring it to the channel. But it's genuinely and generally about what I like and what I enjoy. And then I like bringing it to the channel because maybe you guys might enjoy it. If I don't like it, I don't bring it to the channel. I chose not to review this VST because, in full transparency, the VST was sent to me and I actually wasn't really feeling it like that. And then while I was on my break from the channel for a little bit and, just living my everyday life, still obviously making beats every single day, I started to notice that whenever I needed certain types of instruments, I kept pulling up this VST. Now, I'm kind of conflicted on how I feel about this VST. So maybe you guys can help me. Maybe after you check out this review, you can leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. But I don't know if it's a subconscious thing or if there's something else going on here. I think I might know why I keep going to this VST, even though I claimed I didn't like it. But I think I understand why it's starting to grow on me a little bit. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. Mr. Wilson, Painkillers. Let's check this VST out and see what it's all about. So, as always, I have Logic queued up, and this is Painkillers. Now, I have a lot to say about this plugin. There's a lot going on in terms of the relationship between producer and instruments. And there's a lot of instruments that I'm noticing are being created kind of in this same vein where you have a lot of producers creating their own instruments. I'm one of them. I have my own instrument that's out as well. So I like to shed a little bit of light on these smaller companies, not smaller in regards to them like being whack or not having like really dope VSTs, but smaller meaning like they're just getting started in the VST game. There's a lot of smaller companies that are doing really dope things, but they just don't have necessarily the huge budget that some of these other companies have, but they still deserve light shed on their products. So I like to review some of these smaller VST companies. So when Mr. Wilson sent Painkillers over to me, I decided to check it out. Now, the thing that got me about this VST right off the bat when I started playing with it is I felt like the sounds inside of it were very basic. Like they were very clean sounding. It wasn't like bad quality in the samples or what I was hearing. They sound good, but there wasn't a lot of nuance in the sounds. There wasn't a lot of really interesting things happening texture-wise or just in general with the sounds. They were really straightforward. If it was a piano, it was a piano. Then while I took a little bit of break from the channel and I started making more beats, I started to notice an interesting thing. I have a lot of VSTs that have sounds that are all over the place, super creative, super nuanced infused, just really creative sounds. There's a lot of VSTs that I have in my arsenal that are like that, but whenever I would reach for something that was a little bit more basic, I would have a hard time finding the basic thing because I'm so crowded with creative sounds. So whenever it would come time to add a bass to my beat or maybe just a simple guitar or a flute sound, like not a flute mixed with a synthesizer mixed with a bell, just a flute, I would find myself going back to this plugin because in all honesty, even though the sounds are basic, the sounds that are in it sound really good. And I just found myself constantly going back to this plugin. So I decided that it was worth a review. It might be something that you guys might enjoy. Now, if we head over to the website, we can see a few things. We can see that at the moment, this VST is $40. It comes with 100 custom-made presets. You have everything from bass, bells, brass, flutes, guitars, hits, keys, leads, organs, pads, sax, and strings. So there's a lot of different categories inside of this thing. I do think after playing around with it for a little bit that they should come out with expansion packs, and they should make the sounds inside the expansion packs have a lot more of a creative flair to it, a lot more nuance, just to give you more of a variety of the types of sounds that you're playing around with when you're using this VST. Because like I said, a lot of the sounds inside of this VST are very straightforward. I did notice a lot of the beats that I was making, I kept coming back to this VST mainly for the bass sounds, not 808s. This VST is not heavy with the 808s, but they have a lot of really nice warm acoustic bass and synth bass. Not a lot, actually, just like a few of them, but the few that they do have, I really like, and they seem to work well with just about every type of beat I make. But yeah, so we're gonna just dive right in and check out this VST. Now, if you look at what's happening in the UI here, you guys know I always like to start with the UI. Very straightforward. You have this kind of rough, hardened edge. I kind of like to call it like that NYC concrete jungle kind of edge. You got the steel blocks going on here with the screws. You have your, your whole ADSR section. You have your LFOs. You have your glide wheel and your pitch wheel. And you have your filter section right here, your reverb section right here. You have your panning knob right here, and you have your volume knob right here. Right over here in this box is where your presets are, and you have your output meter. And right down here, you have your piano roll. And that's it. It's very simple, very straightforward. I mean, what you're looking at here is your basic Rompler with sample-based sounds, which I'm not mad at. There's a lot of really dope Romplers out there. That's it. Really straightforward UI design. So what I want to do right now is I want to jump right into the presets so we could check out some of these sounds and see what's going on. Now, I did cook up actually a really dope beat. Again, I'm really conflicted. We're going to get into the sound so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm bugging. Maybe my brain is so bleached with nuanced sounds and creative sounds that I'm having a hard time processing more straightforward, basic sounds. So in my mind, it's telling me that the sounds aren't good, when actually the sounds are good. They're just not crazy creative. They're just straightforward. So you guys might hear it, and you might leave comments in my comment section and tell me, yo, Ars, you bugging. The sounds are dope. If that's the case, please leave a comment down below and tell me I'm bugging and the sounds are dope. But I mean, they gotta be good, because I just created a whole Afro beat using these sounds only, and I'm really feeling the beat. The beat is really crazy. But anyway, let's get into the presets and check these presets out. Now, like I said, you have bass, bells, brass, flutes, guitars, hits, keys, leads, organs, pads, pianos. You have a sax, you have 2 saxophones right here, and you have some strings. I'm a fan of some of the bells in here, some of the keys in here. I like the organs in here. I like the strings in here, and I really like the flutes that are in here, and I love the bass that is in here. So we're gonna start off with the flutes. We're gonna play this Dr. Sebi flute, and then I'm just gonna go through sounds and just play them for you, and you can hear for yourself what it is. So as you can hear, there's some really nice flutes in there. Like I said, I'm really digging the flutes. There's only 5 flutes, but all 5 of the flutes are good. So like I said, they're not super creative, but they're really dope, really clean sounds. And the flutes are a perfect example of that. Every flute I've played so far has been dope. Like I said, the strings in this VST are really dope. The sounds in this VST are good. And I don't know what it is. It's like when I first heard them, they sounded very straightforward, but I am starting to think that I might have just been messing with a lot of synthesizers lately and just been hearing a lot of really weird and off the wall, crazy, crazy sounds. So when I played with this VST, it kind of like underwhelmed me a little bit. But when I really dive in and listen to the sounds, it's like, nah, there's some really dope sounds in here. So yeah, that's just some of the sounds inside this VST. Like I said, there's a bunch of different categories. I only went through the bells, the bass, some of the flutes, some of the strings, but you still have leads, you have organs, you have pads, You have piano, just straight up pianos, which are really cool as well. You have a saxophone section here. You have guitars. You have a lot of really cool things here. It's just know what you're purchasing. Like when you buy this, you're buying sounds that are what they say they are. You buy a lot of these VSTs nowadays. Everyone is pushing for the most creative sounds possible. Everyone is using multi-layers to layer the sounds up and create really interesting, really, really cool things. And that's cool. But I am starting to think that there is a place for a VST that's just going to give you sounds that are really straightforward. Because as much as I like these sounds that are super, super creative, if I lay down my chords with those super, super creative sounds and get the bass structure to my beat, when it's time for me to add a flute and I just want to add a flute, sometimes I have a hard time finding a flute. Like, just being real with you, it sounds crazy when you look at how many plugins I got. You can see I got a ridiculous amount of plugins. Sometimes I have a hard time finding a flute. Like, it's just crazy, like just a dope flute. It's like I always end up finding a flute that's like merged with the synth that has the attack of it sounding a little bit like a bell. Like, it's just flutes. So there is a place for instruments like this that is like what you see is what you get, but what you see is a dope version of what you get. So I do think Painkillers wins in that regards. I also think that Mr. Wilson, Painkillers, you guys need to release expansion packs. You need a lot more sounds in this thing because as much as there is a place for simplicity, it is good to be able to use one VST sometimes and get all of your needs out of that one VST. So I think releasing some expansion packs with some sounds that have a lot more nuance, a lot more movement, a lot more creativity, that would be really, really dope. So what I want to do right now is I want to get right into the cook-up. I want to show you guys a beat I made using Painkillers. Now, I actually made 3 beats today alone using only Painkillers. I had one beat queued up, ready to go. You know, and just so you know, I'm not like making stuff up. You can see right here in my download section, I had this beat and I was ready to play this beat for you guys because I made this earlier as well. I made that beat using Painkillers, but literally when I was gearing up to shoot this review, I made this whole entire beat you see right here on the screen right now. I made this whole beat using nothing but Painkillers. I used another VST for the drums, but as far as all the sounds you hear in this beat, everything is Painkillers. So this is the beat I made using Painkillers. Let's check this thing out. So yeah, that's it. That's the beat I made using Painkillers. Now, like I said, I was a little conflicted. I had this beat sent to me a few weeks back, and I was not going to review it. And I chose to review it after constantly finding myself reaching for this VST whenever I needed to complete a beat. I usually don't reach for this beat when I need to start a beat. This was the exception to the rule. This last beat that I just played for you, this last beat I just played for you was the first beat I ever made using this VST where every single sound I used in the beat came from this VST with the exception of the drums. Every other beat where I use this VST, I usually use it to finish things up. So I don't know, you know, it's a dope VST, I guess. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. Like I don't know what to say. Like I like it, but then I also don't like it. So it's weird. Like I like it, and clearly you can make dope beats with it, but I just wish there were, that's what it is. Okay, I get it. I like this VST. I wish there were sounds that were a bit more creative inside of it. But even though there aren't sounds that are super, super creative inside of it, the presets that are inside of it are not only good, but actually very helpful if you're looking for something that's a bit more basic and straightforward, and you're looking for something to complete your beat, like, you know, like the melodies and all of that kind of stuff. This VST is really good for that. I just wish they would come out with an expansion pack. If they came out with an expansion pack, I'd have absolutely no argument. But let me know what you guys think after hearing this thing, after hearing the beat that I came up with this. Is this something that you could see yourself adding to your arsenal? As always, if there's any plugins or VSTs you'd like to see me review on this channel, leave it down in the comment section below, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.